Hello and welcome, I'm Chris and this is the Hair Tutorial channel. And on this channel I give you the hints and tips to help you with your hairdressing career, whether it's cutting, colouring, hair up or product information. So why not like, subscribe and hit the notification button so that you catch the latest video. And on this video tutorial I'm going to be taking you through the octopus cut. This cut is taking TikTok by storm like many other trends. So the two main differences between an octopus cut and a butterfly cut, which you also might have seen on TikTok, is the disconnection. So you can see I've taken out just from the bevel of the head a U-shaped section round to just below the crown area. So all of this here is our disconnection. So you can, if you want, clip this out of the way or tie this out of the way. This is what we're going to come to right at the end of the haircut. And we'll blend it through either by point cutting or by razoring. So our main concentration for this haircut is going to be on this top section. Now you can do this to a side part, you can do it to a center. The principle is exactly the same. And you can have a stationary guide, which is what I'm going to be using, or you can have a traveling guide. So this haircut is going to be adapted to what you and your client want, but the principle behind it is the same. So I'm going to let this section down and I'm going to take my central guide. So we have our central guide which goes right from the back right the way through to the front. Now the second biggest difference between this and a butterfly cut is how we hold our section when we're cutting it. So on a butterfly cut we're going to hold it horizontally and cut. On the octopus cut we actually cause a little bit of layering, so we're going to be holding this section, okay, and bringing it, and we're actually going to angle our fingers, okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to cause layering here, building up to graduation further back. Now we're going to bring in the back section. So I'm taking the back section, incorporating it into the front, and following that line through. So you can see now we're going to be building up some graduation. Take the last section. Okay, so now what we're going to do is from this pivot point here, we're going to take forward diagonal sections and over direct everything back to our guide. And like I said, if you didn't want to, you could do a traveling guide as you move around. From that pivotal point, forward diagonal. And if the section's too big, too much to hold, break it down into smaller, more manageable sections. So once again, I'm going to take out that back because it's too much to hold. Push it over to find my guide and simply follow that guideline. Now bring in the next section. So I'm blunt cutting, you can point cut, you could do this with a razor, doesn't matter. Okay, I just blunt cut and then go in later on and soften it up. So you can see already just from two sections that we're beginning to create an arc through this front. So once again, from that central point, forward diagonal, break it down into manageable sections. And remember, I've got the disconnection under there. I'm not touching that disconnection. push it over into the center and follow the guide. Again, forward diagonal. When I'm taking the forward diagonal, you can see I'm coming from this point. So I'm not sort of taking straight, I'm doing a forward diagonal. So once again, from that point, forward diagonal. Pushing it over, back to my center, and follow it through. Once again, you can see from that central point how we're now building up length, which then when we do let our disconnection come down, it will aid in blending into that. So a couple more sections, again just doing the forward diagonal. Okay, so you can see our right side done. You can see how bringing all of that hair from here, bringing it forward and holding it at an angle has created a little bit of softness, a little bit of layering, but also given us a little bit of graduation and weight up here. And also bringing it round, over directing it forward has created this concave arc. So we have got some length to blend through the disconnection that when it's dry, we'll then just be able to chip through or razor through. So exactly the same now on the opposite side, and then I'll show you how to connect the back. Okay, so now with both sides cut, I've let the disconnection as well loose, so you can just see the overall effect. Okay, so you can see it's not too bad. It is blending in. It's going to need some sort of feathering and some touching, but it does sort of blend in. Okay, but what we are going to do is we're going to blend our back in now. Okay, so to do this, we should, because we brought all of this forward, if you take a section across here, you should have a relatively straight line. And there it is. There's two things you could do here. You could take your sections horizontally across this back and bring everything up, or you could take your more traditional sectioning where you do a square layer. So find your central parting just like a square layer. You can see that my guideline and length is dropping out, and then just cut that way. So the choice is yours, but it will just slightly blend in this. I'm going to go like this just to behind the ear, and then we're going to stop, and I'm going to cut just in front of the ear when it's dry, just so that I can adapt it and vary it to what I want or what the client wants. Okay, so now we're going to dry it off. Okay, now I'm quite liking it with the texture that it's got in it. Okay, so the reason I've only gone to just behind the ear is you could carry this on in front of the ear. You could either carry on going square, or you could even over direct back if you want to maintain the length. And the principle is exactly the same. Look, there's my length, so it is just dropping out, and I could square it off. Okay, but depending on how the hair is, the look you want, the texture you want, I would just leave this front section until the haircut was dry. Okay, and then you can sort of personalize it, because hair does tend to get a little bit thin through here, so I would leave that until. Also, we do have sort of a little bit what I would consider maybe too long, so I may take that up a little bit as well. So let's get it dried and we'll have a look. Okay, so just gone through, raked it through with a little bit of serum on my hands, used my fingers just to separate the curls. And now I'm going to go through and I'm going to point cut, thin out and razor. Okay, so for me personally, just looking around, there is a little bit too much length here. And again, this may be something that you and your client like and you want to keep. I'm just going to point cut and break that up a little bit. The sides have actually connected quite well through here, all right? But if the layers were shorter and the length was longer, you're going to want to sort of feather through. Now, you may want to do that actually in the wet stage and point cut in, and then once it's dried, just use a little bit of point cutting or razoring again, just to sort of perfect it. It's entirely up to you. So let me go through, finish it, and show you the effect.